Hey guys, this is Carsonmtech here, back with another video, and in this video, I'm going to be answering the question that everybody wants to know, of course. Is it worth it to get a budget camera lens adapter? In this case, I'm going to be checking out the Commlite AEF-MFT Micro Four Thirds camera lens adapter, and so that means that I'm going to be converting some of my older Canon lenses. These are just stock lenses, but I will be converting these to my Panasonic cameras, which have a Micro Four Thirds sensor on them. So of course these aren't directly compatible, so you need something like this to convert the lenses. So it is a cheaper camera lens adapter that is out on the market, but is it worth it? I'm not sure, but I'll be answering that question by the end of this video. So let's get through a quick little unboxing and then into real world use of the adapter. Let's go. Man, I wonder if they could have made that any more difficult. So taking a look here at the box, as you can see, it is there, of course, from Commlite. And it is what I was already telling you, the booster. So sliding open the box, there is a pass some test sticker there. Popping this open, some paperwork, user manual, which probably talks about how you can like upgrade the firmware and whatnot on this because it is firmware upgradable, and of course the booster itself. So taking this out already, I can feel that this does have a decent amount of heft. Considering its price point, I would have figured it would have felt a lot lighter and would have felt a lot more cheap, but this does feel well built, so that's a plus already. Opening it up, it does appear that it has the correct style of conversion that I'm looking for. Of course, that is the Canon lens to the Micro Four Thirds. So, with that being said, let's slap this on the camera. So, let's get to testing this out. Okay, so this test right here is just to show you how quickly this focuses on its native camera right here compared to the speed booster. I've already done this a couple times before, but I just want to show you guys the difference. So just to start off, I'm going to put it completely out of focus, put it over something over here. Now I'm going to aim it right at the tip of that playset right there and focus. That's how quickly it did it itself. So let's move over to the speed booster and see how that performs. This time is attached to my Panasonic G7. So again, focus it on something random over here, aim it up here, and that's how long it took. So a little bit longer than a typical Canon camera. Let's try one more time. Again, a little bit slower, but not too slow. I was expecting it to be a lot slower than that, but not too bad. But side by side, here is the speed. So it is a little bit slower, but you did get the trade-off of having a lower f-stop because of the speed boosting in it. So you do get a higher depth of field than compared to just putting it right onto a Canon camera.
So speaking of putting this on a Canon camera, putting the photos and videos that you can get from the Canon camera next to the Panasonic, I won't actually be showing the videos that you get from them in comparison because the video quality is just so much different with the Panasonics being able to shoot in 4K and Canon only maxing out at 1080p. It's not worth it, but looking at the photos and peeking into them to pixel peek, they are showing that the Panasonic does do a pretty decent job. Putting these side by side, it is important to note that the Panasonic G85 and G7 that I took the Panasonic photos with is boasting a 12 megapixel sensor, and on the Canon side, the sensor is an 18 megapixel sensor in the SL1. Most of these photos were taken in autofocus just to show how it does in the autofocus mode, but some of these were done manually as well. But as far as the autofocus photos go, with some of these photos of my dog Scout, it was very difficult to get some photos with action in it. Also, that occurred in video as well, just because the autofocus was so slow that when something happened and it was fast moving, it was having a difficult time focusing in on that. A lot of the photos I did end up getting though, I was very pleased with, and the quality was quite good. If you're using this in video specifically, it's not really worth it to rely on the autofocus, because if you look at videos like this one right here, it just peaks and pops, and it does have issues with focusing when in video mode. But if you are just shooting in manual, then you should have no issue at all, because the manual, you can get some very good shots with other lenses that aren't meant for your camera. But with that being said, let's go back to see some of my other thoughts that I had after using the adapter.
So it's been a couple of hours now, and I've been using this and shooting photos and videos, and from my usage of it, I've truly been quite blown away by its quality that it produces. I have noticed a slight bit of quality drop as far as when you're focusing, due to the fact that this is not the camera lens that's meant and built to be put on these cameras, but it does serve its purpose, and it worked actually a lot better than I was expecting it to. There were a couple times though where it would get stuck in a hiccup and try and focus on literally nothing. I have no clue why it was doing that, but it was a little bit of an annoyance. Talking about the build quality of this thing, as I already mentioned while I was doing the unboxing, this thing has some pretty decent heft to it. It is made out of metal. This is not some cheap plastic adapter that you can go out and buy. This thing is made of metal, and it is solid. Like, listen to this when you put on a lens. Like, that is very reassuring when you're putting this onto your camera and onto the lens, because it is very solid and it is clearly built very well. So with that, I did not notice any shake at all or movement that you could get out of the lens or when it's attached to the camera body. I didn't see any areas where it wasn't like touching fully or anything like that. Like, this thing is solid and it is sealed up tight. So you don't have to worry about getting any dust on your sensor or lens or anything like that. Should not be a worry whatsoever, because this thing was pretty good. So as far as my opinion on it, it's quite good. But like I said, the only downside that I have with this is it's not the best in autofocus. It does do autofocus, which is great, because there are some adapters out there and boosters that do not support autofocus at all. It's usually just a static adapter where it doesn't have all the tech inside of it. But with the tech inside of this, it does far more than just autofocusing. It can pass through the EXIF data. It can go and allow you to electronically change the aperture. So that was great, because you're able to do that and not have to worry about your camera lens being stuck in an aperture the entire time you're shooting with it. This thing allows it to get down to lower than the typical, because that is the booster aspect of it. It allows for image stabilization to be passed through. So if your lens has image stabilization, it is able to power the lens, which is fantastic, because that is something that most cheaper adapters also don't support. So overall, I'd have to say, if you are on a budget and you don't want to spend the full $700 or whatever it is to get a Metabones Speed booster, this thing works very well. If there were any complaints that I have with this, it does have to be the autofocus issue that I had, where it was just not going and focusing, even though clearly there was a subject in the shot. And also there were a couple times in the beginning when I was first using it, I didn't really see it after that, but in the beginning when I was trying to take a photo, it would kind of peak and pop. Like, it would just keep going back and forth and focusing, which was kind of annoying, but you know, it did work and serve its function. Canon lenses can tend to be a little bit loud, so the autofocus, using them in video anyways, is not the best and not super ideal. So if you set it manually, you might be better off anyways. But also, one other thing that I had with this is the fact that it did not come with any Allen keys to go and remove this bottom plate. It's not a huge deal, because I have a lot just, you know, laying around, but it didn't come with any to remove this bottom little piece and the adapter right here that has the quarter 20 on it, so you don't have to worry about when this is mounted onto your camera not being able to mount it to a tripod, which I was a little bit worried about, honestly, because it does hit your tripod, so you will need to mount your tripod right there rather than on the bottom of your camera. But that wasn't a huge issue, so with that being said, this, I would have to say, is definitely worth it. I was very surprised with its performance, and I'm not just saying that because this was sent to me for free. I honestly was looking at buying this for a while. It's been sitting in my Amazon wish list for the longest time. So the fact that they reached out to me and offered to send it to me for free was awesome. But even if I had bought this myself, I would still be very pleased with this performance. It's far better than I would expect for something of its price point. And it really does, I would say, very closely compete with the higher end speed boosters that you can find on the market. So with that being said, that is pretty much it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to let me know by clicking the thumbs up button down below and also subscribing. If you would like to share this video, that'd be great to help me out and help friends out, whoever needs to see this video, save them some money. If you'd like to see my last video, that should be up there, and some random video should be down there. But that is it for this video. Hope to see you in the next one. Peace.